This is truly a quick tip. It will take it will take a minute. So, did you know that the color 50% gray, being neutral, right? If you set it to overlay, it does absolutely nothing. And why would I make this a tip? Like, what is the tip here? Well, it's kind of cool because it lets you do some interesting things. So I'm going to make a square and put it over our artwork, and I'm going to set its color to exactly 50% gray. So no color information, right? And then you're like, great, it's a big gray square. Now what? Well, if we go and we set its blending mode to multiply, you're like, oh, it's dark. If you set it to screen, oh, it's bright. If you set it to overlay, nothing happens. That's because overlay is a perfect blend of multiply and screen. They're kind of like fighting each other. So brighter colors will make the image look brighter, darker colors will make it look darker. But because we have a completely neutral gray, it doesn't do a damn thing, which is kind of funny. But here's where it comes in handy. And this works just about anywhere, in Photoshop especially too. But let's say you want to add like an effect, like a texture or something, right? So I'm gonna go here to artistic, I think film grain. Yeah, film grain is here. And I'm gonna add some film grain, hit OK. Look at that. Now, if we change it back to normal mode, we just have a gray blob with a bunch of grain on it, and that's not very interesting at all. But if we set it to overlay, then all of a sudden, oh, cool. We have this like cool effects texture layer on top of our artwork, which is kind of awesome. Because sometimes it's nice to add like a little bit of texture to the artwork. And then you can always go in and adjust the opacity a little bit, bring it down to a tasteful level. Yeah, right? So it's kind of cool. And you can use this with any effect you want. So here, if I bring this back to normal, set it up to 100, and then I think, I'll go into appearance, right? And we'll get rid of you, goodbye. So now we're back to gray. You can put any texture you want over kind of gray. And again, the light parts will make it lighter, dark parts will be lighter or darker if you set it to overlay. So let's try another thing. We'll go to texture here and we'll just do like patchwork. I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's like blocks. Okay. I want big blocks. Let's try 10, right? And it's a little brighter. You can tell already, but let's set it to overlay and see what happens. Okay. It's brightening things up a lot. So I'm going to dial the opacity down a little bit, but there you go. So the reason this is a tip is because a lot of times when you want to add texture or a cool effect or something to your artwork, you have to save it, bring it into Photoshop, and then work on it there. But depending on what you're after, you might be able to get away with it all here in Illustrator and do some really fun textury things. But the lesson is 50% gray, set to overlay. It only lets any other kind of like effects shine through. The color itself is invisible, which I think is kind of neat.